Okay, welcome to our Thursday night Q&A. This is Gardening with William DeMille. This is where you ask me your questions and I tell you an answer. And if I don't know, I say, I don't know. So tonight we are going to be talking about some fun things. I'm doing some neat things in the future, and I thought I would just tell you a few of those things that we have been planning the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to be discussing soil health, homesteading, livestock, permaculture, biodynamics, fruits and vegetables, eco agriculture, ecological literacy. This is where I help you to have the very best food possible from your very own garden. Tonight is October 26th, and this is week 72, meaning I have been doing this for 72 weeks. It's actually been longer than that because we skip a few Thursdays here and there when I am out of town on speaking engagements, and we don't do this on Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's always on a Thursday, so there's always a few times during the year when we miss stuff. So here are the 9 ways that I help people grow food. I have a YouTube channel. We have our weekly Q&A, which is what we're doing right now. I have Patreon. I am a soil laboratory, so I can look at your soil and tell you the living active microbes that are creating the plant food so that you can have the most nutritious plants in the world. I've got my summer class, which I used to call my 17-week class, same thing. Now we call it the Georgic Schoolroom. And that's where we take people and teach them fun things. And we're actually going to go into detail on that a little bit tonight. We have 3-day boot camps. One is coming up in January. The dates are 11th, 12th, and 13th. Let your friends and family know. We are taking signups for that right now. And I'm available for consulting if you want me to help you on your own farm or ranch, wherever you are. And my book is done, so get my book. It would make a fantastic Christmas gift for people. And of course, I have a newsletter that goes out. Whenever I write a newsletter, I send it out. I try not to bombard people's email or inboxes with emails and blah, blah, blah. I only send out newsletters when I have something to say. And one of these days, I will have something to say. So if you go to www.georgicrevolution.com and enter your email there, then you will be on my newsletter list. Okay, boot camp is coming up January 11th, 12th, and 13th. Here's a picture of the first boot camp I've done. I don't even know how many have I done now. I think I've done like 6. I need to count them up and think. So the next one was probably the 7th one I've done. And it's super fun. So this is a picture of me teaching a class in the greenhouse that I built here in Clover Valley. So behind the people there, you can see the 10-foot tall stone wall that I built. And that is a heat sink. It catches the solar energy from the sun and it reflects it back so that we don't get hard frosts in this greenhouse. There are no heaters, there are no fans, there is no big electricity bill. This is a greenhouse that will run forever if bad times come, and sometimes bad times do come. Like probably in the last 12 months, our power has gone out probably 10 times. Well, because we're in such a rural area that just happens a lot. And so, anyway, we just built it so we don't need that type of thing. And we grow in here according to the weather. So in the summertime, it's filled with things like tomatoes, cabbages, broccoli, cucumbers, everything. We can grow everything in the summertime. But in the wintertime, we can't grow the peppers and cucumbers and squashes and tomatoes because it will freeze in here. And even if we kept it above freezing, those plants don't do very good anyway because they like intense long days of sunlight. So we only grow things that will grow in the wintertime in the less light. But this is a picture in the early spring. This is April. And see how lush and tall it is? Some of those plants are, 2-3 feet tall. And so it's lush, it's big, it's beautiful. And usually in April, people don't have gardens at all. You're getting ready to plant a garden in April. So by having a fantastic, well-constructed greenhouse, you can have food year-round. And we do harvest food out of here 365 days of the year. That can be done. And that is what I've dedicated my life to, is educating people on how to do this. And we can do it here. We are at 5,800 feet elevation, and we have an 80-day growing season between frosts. So, a very short growing season. Our last killing frost was around June 1st this year. But we had a really long fall, and it hasn't really got cold until, October. So this year was a little bit different, which was fun because a lot of the things that we had planted have been doing really well, and we've had a beautiful harvest of a lot of things that we didn't really expect. But since we had them planted, we got them anyway. So it's a good idea to always plant. Okay, so here is a picture of my graduates from our Georgic schoolroom class. So here we are. So the bottom picture is me with Tim and Jess. So this is the first year that I taught this class, this 17-week class or 4-month class. And this last year, these guys just graduated. So there's me with Becca, Kirsten, Abby, and Will. And so this is fun. They came, they learned. But what is this class? And I just wanted to make it clear and get this on our, on YouTube and start putting this out here so people can understand what this is. Next year, we are prepared to handle 20 students. We have felt like this is important enough information that we need to get this out to the world. And we can't handle hundreds of people here on the ranch, but we could handle 20. So what is this class? We focus on soil health, regenerative agriculture, permaculture, biodynamics, holistic management, Georgics, ecological agriculture, ecological literacy, and profitability in farming. For so long, parents have said, oh, there's no money in farming, don't do it. And now we have a massive shortage of farmers. We need people who are extremely educated, who are producing our food. And we need a lot of them. We have a society that is interesting because we will have a doctor, we will have a dentist, we will have a lawyer, and we have personal relationships with these people. We know them, we talk to them, we see them when we need them. We have insurance agents, we have all these professional people, but what don't we have? We don't have a personal farmer, and we need to have that. I wish we did have personal farmers in today's world. It would be important. It would be good. It would be really helpful if we had a personal farmer, but it's just not something that we are, I don't know, our society, it's just not something that we have. And I think the nutrition of our food reflects that. Imagine if you had a doctor who didn't really know you. You call somebody on the phone and you say, I don't feel well. Oh yeah, well, I have a prescription for that. And that was it. That's the only diagnosis they did. It wouldn't work. It would be a disaster. And that's exactly what has happened in our nutrition nowadays. And so we just go to the store and we get whatever the store has available. And there are so many incredible things available that we can choose to eat Pepsi and Snickers bars. And there's people who've died from malnutrition because that has been their diet. And no, I don't think there's a lot of people that way, but it's just kind of a far out analogy I'm making. But food is something to make money. It makes corporations money. And so we have developed food that grows with really good shelf life, and it will sit on the grocery store shelf for a long time until someone buys it. Interesting thing, I have a son in Europe right now, and I've had a lot of friends who've lived in Europe over the years, and I've had visitors come to my greenhouse this summer who were from Europe, and they would so all these people collectively have told me the same story, which is interesting. In Europe, they bring fresh food into the grocery store in the morning. It comes on a truck. They stock the shelves, and people come shopping. At night, the store closes and they take all the food off the shelves that didn't sell, and it goes onto a truck and it goes away. And the next morning, a brand new shipment of food comes in, fresh from a farm, that goes on the shelf. So people are getting incredibly fresh food in Europe. Now, maybe it's not everywhere in Europe, but the 15, 20 people that I've talked to about this were from a lot of different countries, and they seem to have the same story. Now, I haven't done a lot of research on this. This is just what people have been telling me. And this is a good thing. This is good news. So I really like that. Anyway, here's kind of an announcement of what we're doing. We have this, my 17-week class, my summer class that we're doing. We are going to be doing something fun this year. So the class starts in May. Okay, so May 20th, people come here and class starts. So the move-in day will actually be Saturday the 18th. And so the people who want to come will come on Saturday. They'll get moved in. We will say hello. We'll kind of show them around. And then Sunday's a day off, but they'll be here getting settled. And then on Monday, class starts. And it's a pretty intense class. This is a gardening class on steroids. But before they get here, we're going to be doing something fun. And we're going to do it on these free Thursday night classes. So whoever comes to these classes, and there's a lot of people who come, you know, we usually have 2, 3, 4 people on these classes, and then I have quite a few people watching them on YouTube. So, and it'll still be a Q&A. You can still bring your garden questions. But we're going to do a thing we call the winter room. So for a few years now, me and my kids have been doing what I call the winter room. And it's simply in the winter time, we sit in a room with a wood stove and we read and we write and we discuss books, because education is what makes humans different than all the other animals, because we can think, we can write, we can use language, and we can become something different than just a wild animal running around the earth. So anyway, here's the list of books. So February 22nd through May 16th, every Thursday night, and there's one day in there where I have a boot camp, but it's on here. And so that Thursday night, we won't be doing this, okay? But every other Thursday night, here's the books. So I'm showing you the list of books now. So if you want to get the book, you can read it. You can come prepared. You can comment on the book. We can discuss it. We can become more human than we are right now. It's a fascinating, beautiful thing. So this picture here is a bookshelf that I just built. Right after my students the class was done this summer, we moved everything off this wall in my house. And then I just went outside and found some barwood laying around the ranch. And I built this beautiful bookshelf. And then I put my books on it. And we've been organizing them. They're not done yet, but we're organizing them according to genre, because that's how I like my books organized. So, and then the girl here, this is Becca. She's one of my graduates. So she came back, and she's been here for the last 2 weeks. Becca and Abby came back, and they have been helping me plan our class for 2024. So we've been putting together, making sure the curriculum was good, and then a marketing plan, and making sure everything is in place to actually handle our 20 students and make it a fantastic, awesome experience for whoever chooses to come. So I just took this picture of her a couple of days ago in front of my bookshelf. So that's what this is. But this is a picture of my winter room. This is it. And I'm actually sitting on this couch here, and I'm looking at that bookshelf right now. And then to the right of me, there is my wood stove where we get a big fire going on snowy, blizzardy days, and it's fun. Anyway, I'm going to go through the book list real quick verbally, because this becomes a podcast later on. So February 22nd is the winter room. February 29th, One Straw Revolution. March 7th, As a Man Thinketh. March 14th, Green Grass in the Spring. March 21st, A Message to Garcia. March 28th, Searching for Home, Finding Grace. April 4th, The Greatest Secret. Oh, you know what? That's a typo. It's called The Strangest Secret. I got to fix that. The Strangest Secret. April 11th is 12 Rules of Life. April 18th, Holistic Management. And then the next week is boot camp. So we're not going to have the Q&A that week. But you can come to boot camp. And then May 2nd is Dirt to Soil. May 9th, Worry-Free Eating. That's the book I wrote. And then May 16th is the Lessons of History. And then May 20th, the students come here. And once they're here, we continue the free Thursday night Q&A throughout the year. But this is to prepare the students when they get here so that they can have really great context for what we are doing in this class. And I wish, I kind of wish they would come having read 500 books. I had a discussion with some brilliant people this week, and I asked them, how many books does a person need to read to have an education? Now, that's a tricky thing because education means so many things to so many people. If you have 300 people in a room, you could get 300 different definitions of education. So that's a tricky thing. But we agreed after a good discussion that if a person read 500 books, they would have an education. Now, obviously, they would have to be good books. And it's good, So I wish my students would come having read 500 books. But if that was a requirement, I wouldn't get any students. So these are the books that I chose, and I thought it would be fun. No, I'm not requiring my students to read these books, but I'm encouraging them to because it will give them context. And I am encouraging them to come to these classes, and this will be on YouTube. And so if they sign up to come to the on-site summer class after these dates start, it's fine. They can watch the discussions on YouTube. I'm simply trying to help people have context of how to become ecologically literate and then use that knowledge to make the world a better place. So that's what this is about. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to open this up for Q&A. Go ahead and you're totally welcome to unmute yourself and ask any questions you have about anything you want. If I don't know the answer, I say I don't know. Cool. Hey, Colleen, we can't hear you. You need to push your unmute. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask about the greenhouse. It's Walipini. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
All right. And I read up a little on it that it's originally was developed in Bolivia. That may be a high altitude location, which I live in and you also live in. And I'm familiar with the concept of a heat sink, but I don't want to dig down in the ground. I don't really like the idea of something underground. So I've looked at these geodesic greenhouses that have a large cistern in them that is shielded from the hot sun on the north in the summer, but acts like a heat sink in the winter when the low rays of the sun can come up and warm that cistern, which also adds some humidity to the room. They're not as big as the one you built, but do you have an opinion about that for somebody who can't or doesn't want to dig into the ground?
Yes, I think they're fantastic. In fact, I've been dreaming about one of those for a long time. The reason we built the one that I built is I have a lot more square footage, and we wanted a big one, and I even have the option of adding on. I could make it twice as long if we want to. We were limited on funding when we first built it, and we're dreaming in future years of just extending that out. another
Mm.
130 feet, I think it would go. So it would be 260 feet long when it's done. So that's
Mhm.
why we did it the way we did. But I am familiar with what you're talking about. Those geodesic ones are fantastic. They're great. I had a friend in Telluride, Colorado, who had one, and it was pretty neat. So yeah, my opinion is fantastic. Go ahead and do it.
Mhm. Thank you.
You bet. Ron, Holly, do you guys have any questions tonight?
Forget.
Holly's says we have many, but she just can't seem to remember them right now.
I can't remember them at the right time. We get off and I say, oh, we should have asked. And then I didn't. So I'm trying to rack my brain about what our question was from last week that we forgot to ask.
You need to carry a notebook in your pocket.
There we go.
Right?
So we have the fruit trees in, and they seem to be looking good. We walked around today. I've got to deal with gophers. You have any ideas?
Yeah, gophers. Do you guys have gophers?
Right where we are, we don't have gophers. We do have some other critters in the ground, a lot of them, but we don't have gophers. But yeah, you can buy gopher traps. There's poison, there's traps, there's a good cat, there's dogs, there's coyotes. There's options for gophers. Or you could just make them your pets. But I mean, if they're gonna eat the roots of your fruit trees, that's a problem. So
Right.
That's what we're concerned about.
yeah.
And then our patch we planted several seeds on is come up. The area I planted has come up better than Holly's. Don't say anything. And so that's to prepare for the spring garden. We planted daikon radish and other root vegetables for that. And
Yeah,
then
it didn't come up very much. There's like seedlings that are like 1 inch tall. And then there's an area about 2 feet square that has big, fluffy greenery. So we know our watering system isn't great. So that's probably a big part of it. But I don't know. We're just gonna deal with it in the spring, I guess, and try to figure out better watering. And I don't know.
then we put out a lot of dry pasture seed, but I'm not seeing any sprouting as far as we know. That was like a month ago. There's not been much rain. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
We've
it's
only-
super dry, they won't sprout yet. So
Yeah.
We can hope.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
here's the deal about gophers. You can be pretty effective at getting rid of them with a garden hose. Take a garden hose out there, dig a hole because you can see where they're making their mounds. Just dig around until you see a hole going down in the ground. Kind of dig it out a little bit. Once you have a nice hole going in there, stick a garden hose in there and turn it on for a while. And sometimes you can drown them out. They will quite often come out of the ground and it'll make them surface. And then you can dispose of them in a humane, quick way.
Of course. So Ron does like to put water down the holes to see if he can fill them up. But he's never just left the hose set there.
No.
He's always just filled it until it came to the surface and seemed full. And he goes to the next hole and starts filling it up too. So
yeah,
I don't know. We could just leave the hose in the hole and see if that works better.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes they won't come out, but quite often they will. So that's a good thing to try.
I'll have to try that. Okay.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
new project.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't think of anything else. I'll have to write it down next week.
Nice. Okay. Sounds good. All right, Colleen, anything else tonight?
Yeah, two things. A friend of mine had an 8-acre winery in Central California, lots of gophers. He put up owl nesting boxes, and he went out every morning and counted the gopher skulls under each one. And there could be like 20 gopher skulls fresh under. I mean, they were eating the gophers. So, and the vineyard produced, and he had a winery. So if you've got owls that you can attract, that may work. And then, my project is dryland farming. So, William, I have a tractor. I now have implement, desire. I want to go to the implement store and buy things to attach and drag around with my tractor. But if I'm going to do no-till, all I can think of that I need is maybe a sprayer for compost tea and a no-till drill. Is that the extent of my shopping list, or am I missing something?
What about a roller crimper?
Aha, thank you.
You may want a roller crimper. This is fantastic. You guys are answering my right answers, It means I'm doing my job.
All right.
Listening,
Because that's what I always say. You got to get birds of prey in there. You need a roller crimper. This is good.
Okay, good. Your message is getting through.
That's good. I don't know, Colleen. You could end up with a lot of different implements for different things, It just depends what it is you decide to do in the future.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
I think
yeah.
my neighbors could come in and combine. If I actually grew wheat in a cover crop and I wanted them to come in and just combine out the wheat, I don't think I need my own combine for the small acreage I have.
That
But I
would
could-
not be practical for your size of an acreage.
especially
Combine,
with,
man, an old used beat up one is like $50,000.
Plus
Brand new
lunch-
ones are almost $1 million. I don't know how farmers can
Right.
ever justify any of that equipment. It's insane. The only reason they can is because they get big subsidy checks from the government.
Mhm.
That's how it finances all that incredible machinery. I love the machinery. It's fascinating and wonderful and beautiful. You can get in those big old giant fields and, turn on the GPS and it controls where you're driving, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's so interesting, and it tells you what the moisture level is of the grain while you're combining it. And there's other qualities that it will tell you about stuff. It tells you if there's weed seeds in it. There's just all this information that the computers will tell you nowadays. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, we read the old stories of like Jules Verne, who dreamed up a light bulb, and then it became true. And then in our time, we watched Star Trek, and they had these things called a communicator, and it's real. Here's mine right here. I mean, we've all got a cell phone. So anyway, I don't know, but it's just crazy. If people can dream it up, somebody else is going to invent it at some point, and that's where we are with farm machines today. But so I don't know. I think right now the thing that you need is, I don't know. You no-till drills are really expensive, and I don't know that they make one that will actually work with the size of tractor you have, because they're big and they're heavy, and they have to be heavy to go way down in the soil, because the weight of the machine is what makes it penetrate into the soil. So
Mhm.
I would say you just have one of your neighbors probably plant for you when you need something planted. That would be more in context with what you're actually dealing with the size of your land. So
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
anyway, but like Ron said, a roller crimper, if you could find a tiny little roller crimper, that'd be fantastic. Because you are going to have things that are tall that you're smashing down. Here again, you're on dry land, so I don't know that you would want to buy a roller crimper yet, because we don't even know if that's going to be within context of what you're doing. You may just want to use cattle to get all that stuff trampled in instead of a roller crimper. If you had irrigation, I would say, yeah, you'll probably be using a roller crimper, but it's going to take us some real creativity to figure out, if a roller crimper is going to be the right piece of equipment for you. Because in a dryland system, I don't know that you're going to use it. So we still have to keep researching how to do it in a dryland situation. So
Thank you. Makes sense.
Okay. Anything else tonight? Any other questions?
Well, I think we're good for now, but thank you very much. We'll write them
Alright.
down.
Nice. Colleen, anything else before we sign off tonight?
Still there?
Colleen may be having technical difficulties. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for tonight, and we will be back next Thursday, same time, same place, same link. Good night, everyone.
Sounds good. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.